The Bohemian Flats is a park located underneath the Washington Avenue Bridge near the West University of Minnesota campus. Although it's now a recreational grassland, they were once home to a shantytown community predominantly made of Eastern European immigrants. And the University of Minnesota's theater department is devising a play based around the lives of the former community.
They were really homes. They were homes that they built down, and sort of there were the upper flats, the lower flats, right below the University of Minnesota here on the West Bank. And they're just great cultural stories of how people could find a way to live. The flats would flood, and then they would have to sort of move up, but they always wanted to stay.
The town, once known as Little Bohemia, was founded in 1867. It was once home to over 1,200 immigrants until the city of Minneapolis condemned the settlement in 1931.
The real key about Bohemian Flats is that there was often a very kind of negative view and perspective of the people living there because they were poor and they were working in the breweries, they're downwind of the breweries, and so, they were supposedly sort of crime and all of those things. And you discover as you do the research that that's not really the story, any different than any other community.
These immigrant communities were kind of special in that a lot of them didn't speak the same language in Sweet Hollow and or Bohemian Flats, but they were tied together by a need to find a way up those stairs.
Actors in the theater department have been working with professors, professional actors, and historians to create their own performances for the show, based on real stories from the shantytown.
It's been super fun. I remember one night they gave us a list of things we could possibly make a scene, write a song about, or anything, and I chose this one little passage that said a love letter, and it was a love letter from this guy to his wife, and he was moving away from the flats, and he said, "I don't have much time here in St. Cloud for work, but I just wanted you to know one thing, love, love, love." And it said a ballad, heartfelt song with no belting, which is perfect for me.
Some of the stories are serious in nature, while others seem borderline absurd.
And there's this moment when the brewery had spoiled and they were dumping it in the river, and sort of the ducks got caught up in sort of drinking the beer, and there's this moment where they find all these wallowing ducks who are just drunk from the beer that's been dumped in the river. And it was reported, in the newspaper. And so that's just one of our favorite stories that we came across that's really just hilarious.
And these students have been working hard to keep these memories alive.
Well, all I knew about the Bohemian Flats were that it was part of a bike path that I go on. And so now just knowing all the rich culture and history and all the different stories, whether that's drunk ducks or love letters or houses on fire, it's just it was such a rich environment to learn about.
There's so many interesting people that were alive living in this area, and it's important to share their story, and it's important to share their way of life, what happened to them, because it's a sad part of history, and it's important to remember that and learn from it.
Peluso, one of the collaborators that students and faculty have been working with on this project, said telling stories like these helps remind us of where we've come from.
So our history is important, and we need to teach our young people and our old people who've sometimes forgotten this history these stories. And what's happening at the Bohemian Flats is a little microcosm of what this country's all about. And that's why it's important that these students here work with these mentors like myself and the others to tell these stories.
It's the American immigrant story. There are Slovakians, Norwegians, Finnish, Swedish, Eastern European, all these folks coming here and trying to find, a foothold into sort of, building a life and raising a family and building a history.
Following the closure of the settlement, the Bohemian Flats would eventually be turned into the park and boat launch that exists today. But the park's past won't be forgotten anytime soon.
Oh, they were drunk.
Neil Roy for the Minnesota Daily.